hello. Okay, how are we doing? Who do we have in the chat? We have Pizza saying good day all, good morning Pizza. Jen saying hi all, hello. And Bowie saying hello, hello Bowie. I hope you are doing fantastic today, okay? So, are you, excuse me, I will be right back. Okay, there was just a glitch on my uh Streamlabs because it's showing things that cannot be true. Okay. Uh, Sorry about that. Okay. So, Bowie says Republicans are farting bad ideas, and their legislations uh, are nothing but bad gas. Yeah, that is the case for example, in Texas, um, where there is another piece of shit and pathetic excuse for a piece of legislation. Okay, so but there are also we live in dark times. Okay, there is war raging in Eastern Europe, and yeah, but I'm okay. Finland where I live. Even though we have our land border with Russia is 1,320 kilometers. That would be 800 and something miles of land border, and we have an interesting history with Russia, which is not so good. But we haven't experienced any actual military threats from Russia since World War II, which ended what 80 years ago, 75, close to almost 80 years ago. So we are in Finland is safe now. So there have been some Finn, a Finn, uh, who has been talking about um, finding routes to escape Finland in case uh, the Ruskies decide to come over for a visit or come knocking. But the fact is that the Russia has invested 70% of their operative forces into their operation in Ukraine. So they do not have the resources, the military resources to come knock for another front. So and they're not interested in Finland. I mean, okay, a couple of years ago, our current president was playing ice hockey with Putin. So yeah, go figure. Anyway, please check my Patreon. There's all kinds of nice stuff. There's one of my patrons uh, is Flems, and very big thank you to Flems. Okay, Flems is a wonderful, wonderful person. Okay, so today I was going to talk about something completely different. I was I intended to talk about a situation going on in Norway, or an interesting development, a court case regarding a new piece of anti-discrimination uh, legislation in Norway that was um, introduced not so long ago. Uh, I was originally planning to talk about that, but since then things have come to light. Okay, let's go. Mm, let's go to an article we have from NBCnews.com. Say what you will about the media, but hey, Texas has now passed a law um, that defines gender affirming providing gender affirming treatment to children to be child abuse. And now it's okay. The Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has said in an opinion on Monday, and this is actually now has come to force that they are now on a witch hunt for teachers, nurses, doctors, parents, etc., who provide these gender affirming treatments to minors. Okay, that according to Mr. Paxton, providing gender affirming medical care is to minors is considered child abuse under state law. Medical care, such as puberty blockers, which temporarily pause puberty, hormone therapy, and gender affirming surgeries, must be halted, he said in a statement on Monday. Added that Texas Department of Family and Protective Services has a responsibility to act accordingly. Accordingly, so basically, witch hunt. Witch hunt is on in Texas. Um, okay, the issue has been a part of month-long back and forth between Paxton, Governor Greg Abbott, and the Department of Family and Protective Services after the state. Where are we? The legislature last year failed to pass a bill that would have made providing gender affirming care to minors a felony alongside physical and sexual abuse and sex trafficking. Like what? How is providing gender affirming care to minors physical, sexual, physical and sexual abuse and sex trafficking, or even comparable to that? No. Uh, Booby says which is Greg Abbott farting his brain in his ass, and the legislation is toxic gas that is poisoning Texas. Exactly. Okay. Paxton and supporters of restrictions, excuse me, uh, argue that gender affirming care is experimental, but what we do know is that it works, and it's not experimental anymore. We know that it works. If something has been proven to be an effective treatment for something, whether it be gender dysphoria or pneumonia or cancer, we will use it, and it can no more be called uh, experimental. And that minors are too young to consent to such care. Hmm. Hmm. Oi, oi, oi. Too young to consent. Hmm. In what way do we act exactly? 16 in the states. Um, at least in most of the states in the US, the age of consent is 16. 16-year-olds are, what's the minimum age for owning a gun in Texas? Well, 18 years. In Texas, you must be at least 18 years of age to buy a rifle, and at least 21 years of age to buy a handgun from a licensed dealer. Under federal law, it's generally illegal for someone younger than 18 to possess a handgun outside of certain situations, such as defending oneself against an intruder or for hunting. Yeah, hang on. That was on TexasTribune.org, Texas gun laws. But let's see. But Giffords Law Center, okay, says minimum age to purchase and possess in Texas. There is no minimum age to possess firearms under that Texas law. Texas law generally prohibits intentionally or knowingly selling, renting, leasing, or giving or offering to sell, rent, lease, or give any firearms to any child younger than the age of 18. However, it is an affirmative defense to this offense that the parent or the person having legal custody of the minor had given a written permission for sale, or if the transfer was other than sale, the parent or person having legal custody had given effective consent. Federal age restrictions impose stricter limits. So basically, no. There are if if a parent or a legal guardian has given written consent, in that case, under Texas law, a minor can buy a gun if their parent or legal guardian uh, has given a written consent. Texans like to show off their kids with guns, precisely. Anyway, uh, let's age of consent. Texas. Yeah, in Texas, age of consent is 17, uh, which means definition of age of consent in Texas is when a person may legally consent to engage in sexual activity with another person. Texas Penal Code states that once a person becomes 17 years of age, they are capable to give consent for sexual activity with another person. So, in Texas, a 17-year-old is of the age of consent for sexual activities. So, a 17-year-old is mature enough to be able to make decisions regarding their sexual life, which may or may not include rather kinky stuff at the age of 17, but they are not capable or mature enough to be able to consent to gender affirming treatments in Texas. Jens says, so why doesn't it work for healthcare? What do you mean it doesn't work? What doesn't work for healthcare? I'm not quite following. Okay. Anyway, let's go on. Oh, by the way, the only co-host today is Stefan. Stefan is the only one here because Bertil has gone off to a great journey. Bertil has gone on a great journey with his other mama. He has gone to meet of the great black hound of the name Yo-Yo. Pictures will follow, and I also will probably provide pictures on Patreon, so check it out. Jens says agent and parents consent. Yeah, Bowie says okay, but something about that feels wrong. Yeah, but if you're mature enough to consent to sexual activities, which include your pretty much you typically would include the usage of your genitalia uh, and being naked in, or at least partially naked, in the presence of someone else who, in the case of 17-year-olds, may or may not be of age, 18 and over. So, yeah. If a person is considered mature enough to consent to such activities, how how in how in, and how on earth would that mean would it mean that then this person is not uh, capable of knowing what they um, what they want to do with their bodies? Perhaps at the age of 18 already, when you're 17 and 364 days old, you are not perhaps permitted to have a tattoo, but because you're not mature enough, but 2 days, a day or two later, you all of a sudden, boof, you are magically mature enough. Maybe this would change overnight. Hmm? It doesn't talk. This doesn't make any sense whatsoever, in my opinion, at least. Where I live in here in Finland, mm, the um, age limit to get your legal gender marker change and get the treatment, any treatments, is 18, and there's no wiggling, any puberty blockers for trans or gender diverse kids. Mm. not available, unfortunately. Okay, and I think it's even illegal here. I'm not sure if it's illegal, but it's not exactly available in other way. Okay, Paxton and okay, advocates note. So Paxton and co think um okay. We have an interesting comment from Bowie. Uh, Bowie says, puzzle me this. Why do children ask for gender affirming care if they are too young to know when nobody knows better than the trans youth asking for it? You have made uh, a very valid point, dear darling Bowie. Um, Honestly, I can't think of a reason. I cannot think for a reason. Just no. So there's no good reason for that. Because they, they, they just want to have an excuse. They're just making up some ad hoc excuse. Okay, so anyway, advocates note that the efforts fly in the face of guidance from all relevant major organizations, including American Medical Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics, and the American Psychological Association, which say that gender affirming care is medically necessary for transgender youth and is backed up by decades of research. And then these Paxton and Co. say, experimental. It's like flat earthers saying, but it looks flat. Yeah, but it okay. It may look locally. It may look flat. Look flat. Okay. This box, the surface of this box is flat. Yes, the box is flat, but that doesn't make the Earth flat because this doesn't curve. This box doesn't curve because it's like circular reason, some sort of weird reasoning that because this part of the box is flat, hence the Earth is flat. Uh, or something like this one. Uh, this one bends like this, hence the factory owner who makes these wants to have anal sex. So that's that's like that kind of weird reasoning is behind this. Paxton and his friends. Okay. Hmm. Andri Perez, policy and advocacy strategist for LGBTQ equality at the American Civil Liberties Union um, of Texas, said Paxton's opinion is politically motivated. Perez, who uses gender neutral pronouns, noted that the Attorney General released the opinion just ahead of state's March 1st Republican primary elections, one of the most competitive primaries that Paxton has faced in years. Paxton's opponents here. Excuse me, I'm tired. Not enough coffee apparently. A lot of work and not enough coffee. Okay. Anyway, Paxton's opponents have been highlighting his recent legal troubles. He's awaiting trial for a 2015 indictment on charges of securities fraud and he is under investigation by the Federal Bureau of Investigations over allegations of bribery and abuse of office. Paxton's office has not returned a request for comments. Mm. Louis says here, if the Earth is flat, then all of the tall mountains and structures can be seen from all around the globe. Uh, because we can't. The Earth is round. Uh, I hope I'm okay. Be right back. Okay, I hope I'm not gonna get a copyright strike on this one, but I have this reminded me I have a wonderful ringtone on my phone. Okay.
Round, 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 the earth is round. Smart people found that the earth is round. There's proof abound, don't fool around. The data's sound, the earth is round.
Yeah, there we have it. Round, round, round. Full song. That's my ringtone. It has been for quite a while now since the song was released. Okay. Oh God, why am I yawning? Why am I yawning? Okay. So, Perez added that the Attorney General opinions are not legally binding. Yet, well, uh, I think, well, de jure, perhaps not, but I I would I would say that they are de facto. They're de facto binding, not de jure maybe, but de facto at least. Pax say, and Perez also said Ken Paxton's thoughts on this, no matter what they are, do not affect how a court would or should analyze these issues. They said, and as of today, there's no court in Texas or the entire country that has ever found that gender affirming care uh, constitutes child abuse. But we asking, are they serious? Yes, they are. They're very serious. Like Pastor Greg Locke burning books. Uh, these people are very serious. Unfortunately, these people are serious, and unfortunately, these people are Ken Paxton and his friends are very dead serious. They are very dead serious here. Oh, but by the way, I compared these people, the Nazis. But I have on a few occasions, but I just have to go back to the current crisis in Ukraine. Uh, the Russian President Vladimir Putin justified the Russian military action that the Kyiv government is performing a bloody genocide and putting forth a Nazis, basically accusing the Kyiv parliament government of bloody genocide, Nazism, uh, discrimination against Russians, etc., etc. So basically, Nazis and genocide was was what they accused Putin came up with. Why is my why am I getting uh, vertical centros? Come on, I'm getting weird shit here. Okay, I don't know what's going on. Okay, because the lower bar is not on where it should be. Okay. Uh, Peter uh, Bowie says Republican is basically another Nazi group. Yeah. Uh, Peter says child abuse is making kids be what they aren't exactly. Yeah. Okay, so it's super weird. By the way, I've had a weird commenter uh, in in a video about can't remember which video it was, but hey. Oy, oy. Okay, let's go to this. Okay, so I think in Texas, most Texas courts would now, after Paxton came out with this idea, I think that most Texas courts uh, would uh, consider or say that now it's it is now child abuse, but you know. However, Perez said the opinion could have scary consequences for transgender youth. The opinion has a section that says it is mandatory for teachers, social workers, and others of their duty to report child abuse, they said. So, the opinion, even though the opinion is not binding, some people could point to this opinion as a reason to report, and that could increase the amount of false reports that we see being done on parents. It could increase bullying, harassment, uh, and harassment in schools directed towards trans youth, and bullying and harassment directed to their parents and guardians. Bullshit. Perez says that several parents of trans kids in Texas have already faced false reports that led to investigations, and that investigators have consistently trusted parents and medical professionals who support gender affirming care. Still, they said that the rhetoric in the letter and in the bill that the legislature, fuck, that's a difficult word, even though I'm not drunk, considered last year have created a persistent fear within the community. Tell you what, move out of Texas, leave, take your family, sell your house, go, and don't do not make. Hey, okay, Texans, parents of trans kids and transgender and gender diverse children and mine and teenagers. Take your kids, take your kids and leave. Move out of state. Is for the safety and welfare of your child. I've heard the excuse that we have all of our whole life is in this state in the US. We can't leave because we have everything here. Oh, for fuck's sake! How do you think? What do you think refugees do? They leave everything behind in order to be safe. If you do not leave, take up and leave, you staying is child abuse. Staying in circumstances like this, like that, even if you have transgender kids, staying in a situation like this is child abuse. Staying in Texas with trans kids is child abuse, in my opinion. Bill Wee says the bill is so stupid, but the lawmakers did fart it out. This did fart this act of cruelty. Texas is off limits. Parents of trans kids, please leave. Yes, exactly. Tell you what, if your life or that of your children is threatened by the government, by the very government of the country you live in, not just the state government, but the federal government in this case, what do? You leave. You leave the country, move out. And I've heard the complaint that it takes so long to get the working permits in Canada, for example, where the situation is a lot better. The Canadian system is much like the European system, very close to the European system. Well, at least close enough. Um, Greg Bowie says Greg Abbott is another dictator, and Jens saying there are lots of channels on YouTube about people who moved between countries. Yes, and tell you what, if your life, health, and property is under threat by the government, by war, or whatever, if by the government, oppression, or war, you leave. Now we are already reminded. I am reminded, and many others are reminded that now that um, the Russian war machine is raging once again at almost full power. However, quite far from where I live. Um, if you hop uh, on a ferry from where I live in Helsinki, our capital on the south coast, if you hop on a ferry, it takes a couple of hours, like 2 hours, 3 hours. You hop on a passenger ferry with your car to Tallinn, Estonia, just some 80 kilometers away across the Baltic Sea, the Gulf of Finland. It's 1,500 kilometers to Kiev from where I live, so it's far away where the war is. But during the World War II, the Soviets permanently occupied and a part of Finland. It's about 10 to 50, 10 to 20%, something like that. And our then second biggest city is now what is considered the Russian Federation. My grandmother and her entire extended family lived in that area. They had to leave twice. We had two wars with the Soviet Union at the time, the Winter War and then another one after that. So my nana's family had to leave twice. The entire extended family, and the second time was for good. They had to leave their home, their homes, their businesses. They had they had a couple of pharmacies. They were pharmacists. My my nana's parent, great my nana's grandparents, and so they had to leave their property, their business, their employment, home, land, everything behind for good, and never look back. My mom and nana have visited the area that is now uh, Russian Federation. Um, and my nana's family house is still there, still standing, and a Russian family lives in it. So, so a family member, my family, part of my family has had to leave, drop everything and go because they weren't safe anymore. They weren't safe, and they were evacuated. Now, that should be the case for all the parents of trans and gender diverse minors in Texas. They should evacuate. It's not safe. It's not safe for their children anymore. It's not safe. They should leave. Unfortunately, if not the states, Texas, and perhaps the U.S. altogether, for a safer country. Um, no, Bowie says, notice that the democratic states have no such bills in place and no bills against LGBTQ are present in democratic states. Yes. If if we talk about if we talk about anti-LGBTQ plus legislation, if you live in a democracy, in a country that has a working democracy, uh, you will find no anti-LGBTQ plus laws. You may find restrictive legislation or legislation that will slow you down, but pose no direct threat. They just slow things down. You may find these kinds of things, but not the type of legislation you see in place in Russia, the Russian Federation, and the U.S., Turkey, for example, and many other countries. But in actual real con- democratic countries, you won't find these legislations, which is quite curious. We live in dark times, indeed, my friends, dark times. Okay. Do we? I'll be right back. Yes. Okay. Bowie says but no bans, threats, or laws should exist in a democracy. That would be anarchy. I think democratically elected parliaments uh, should be the ones who, in cooperation, decide on the rules, certain rules that everyone has to abide. If we had no bans, threats, or laws, yeah, well, we could go into the Christian, the fundamentalist, evangelical fundamentalist um, uh, view on atheism, that moral is subjective, uh, and the shit they push through. Anyway, why is my computer lagging? Okay, not anymore. Okay. Anyway, it's horrible what's going on in Texas, in Ukraine, etc. etc. Booby says point taken. Thank you. Okay, you're welcome. Anyway, do we have any more? Do we have any questions for me regarding this subject, this Texas case, or any other subject that I've brought up? By the way, I have had an influx of subscribers, and it's quite nice actually to see more views or watch hours watch hours on my videos, but I'm still far away from, for example, being even close to, for example, that 1,000 subscribers, which I would love to reach. I would love to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of by summer, hopefully. It would be absolutely amazing. Hang on. This is, by the way, I just realized that this is the 120th episode of my channel. I have 30 videos, 30 pre-recorded episodes, plus 90. This is the 90th 90th live. This is the 90th live stream and the 120th episode of my channel. I'll have probably. I might as well just have a celebration live stream for 100 live streams. Um, Bowie says, if the US is so free, then why is there so much discrimination against people of color and the LGBTQ? Well, because people are free to discriminate, because there are no anti-discrimination law, effective anti-discrimination legislation, so people are free to discriminate against people of color and the LGBTQ, because people are allowed to discriminate against them. That is why. And if USA is so good, why did they invent USB? Yeah. Okay. Okay, look. It's been 50 odd minutes. Uh, Boo says funny, yeah. Hey Google, I am your father.
I'm the Google Assistant, not Luke. I just looked in my heart. I know it to be true.
Yeah, I'm tired. I had an interesting day at work. Uh, I had to make a call I didn't want to make. And it didn't make my day. It's yeah. It's been 55 minutes almost. The show is live. So without further ado, I think it's time to go for tonight. I will be back uh, on Monday evening, 9 p.m. Well, evening my time, early morning for pizza, for example. And I will be back for another episode of Culture Corner, and I will see you all then. And I have this has been Stefan. Bertil is on his great journey uh, across Finland. And please check the links below. Leave a like, share this video, and uh, check my Patreon, PayPal, and those who are not already on my Discord servers, LGBT plus safe space, and my channel server, Heidi's Corner. Uh, Please, the links are in the description. Send me email. That would be highly appreciated. And then uh, and patreon.com/Heidi's Corner. Uh, and I will see you on Discord during the weekend. And I will also see you on Monday episode Culture Corner, same time as usual, 9 p.m. UK. I will see you then. Bye.